All right.
Well, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Kind of nice to have everyone here. This is the first Facebook Live we've done as Government Affairs.
I know if we do a good job, maybe they'll let us come back.
Maybe so. Maybe if you pay attention and ask questions, they'll think we did a good job and we'll be able to come back.
So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Kate Clint. I'm the Government Affairs Director here at UAR. And with me is our 2023 Legislative Committee Chair, Mayor Mark Shepard.
Well, we just go with Mark Shepard. That's
Just Mark Shepard.
Yeah, we'll just go.
Mark. This time it's just Mark Shepard.
It's realtor function. It's Mark Shepard.
Okay, so today we have something really special for you. It's our very first ever Government Affairs Countdown, and we're going to kind of recap the legislative session. Like I said, hopefully this is the first of a couple because we're only going to get a chance to talk about two big programs today, and we did a lot more than that during the session. So I'll start us off with our top 5 kind of policy areas that we focused on this last session. The first is protecting private property rights. The second is streamlining the development process at a municipal and county level. The third is promoting transparency in government. The fourth is advocating for consumer protection. And the fifth is investing in affordable housing.
Well, since this is a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, your elected officials, the legislature invested hundreds of millions of dollars in 4 key programs to focus on affordable housing, homelessness, the low-income housing tax credit, the first-time homebuyer assistance program, and the shared equity revolving loan fund. And we're going to end up covering 2 of those.
We are. And I don't know about you, Mark, but this is the first time that I've really seen the legislature invest in the housing issue in Utah, really from top to bottom or bottom to top, in terms of addressing homelessness, high density homes, single family homes, first time home buyers, you name it, they looked at it this year.
And they did it in a big way. They didn't just toss a little bit of money here or a little bit of money there. As I said, hundreds of millions of dollars were thrown into these programs to address housing and to start again, homelessness. That's a major concern with the state as a whole, especially in the valley. But then especially to talk about low income housing and affordable housing, which those are 2 totally different things, affordable and low income. But then to address it across the board, including new home building.
Yeah.
And how do we add inventory to the market to deal with home ownership? They did a phenomenal job. If you need anything to do, reach out to your legislators and thank them. And I'd say thank them specifically 543 specifically for 3 bills right now: HB 364, HB 406, and then Senate Bill 174. Let's talk. Should we talk about our 2?
Yeah, we're going to talk about 2 programs. And chances are, if you are a realtor, you have heard of these, or at least one of these programs already. And we're hoping that this Facebook Live will kind of clear up some confusion, dispel some misinformation, but also make you really excited for when this program is available for first-time homebuyers. So we'll start first with the first-time homebuyers assistance program. And
you nailed it. There's some confusion here. I've been receiving emails, I'm sure you have as well, from various mortgage brokers, lenders across the state saying, hey, we have this phenomenal program that the legislature's approved, and here's what you're going to have to do to apply for it. Here's what your clients need to know. Here's what they're going to do. And yet that's a little odd because they still haven't written the rules for it. So if you've got mortgage brokers that are right now telling you, this is how the program works, and this is what you need to do, and you need to apply for it this way, either they have a crystal ball and know things that we don't know. I'm betting no on that one.
Probably not.
Or they're misinformed and they're giving you information that is not accurate. And I don't fault them for it. Every one of our mortgage brokers wants to get in front of this. It's a phenomenal program. It will be a phenomenal program as soon as they write the rules for it and get those out to us. But it has the potential to do some great things. This program is directed specifically towards new home buyers under $450,000.
So that is the median home price along the Wasatch Front when you take out things like Park City, which have a tendency to skew that data. So $450,000 or less.
Or less.
And as a first-time home buyer, you can qualify for up to $20,000 toward this home purchase. And that can be used for anything from buying down your mortgage interest rate so that your monthly payment is lower, to closing costs, to helping with your down payment.
But it has to be new construction. And I think if I've had any questions come up since the legislative session, as I've talked to realtors and discussed this with them. That's been the biggest concern.
Why?
Is why on earth would the realtors support something that was only for new construction? I want my home buyers to be able to go out and buy a house anywhere. And have you ever found a house, a newly built home, new construction under 450? I mean, it's almost impossible right now. And so why would we support this bill and put so much emphasis into it? The legislature put $50 million into this program. And again, you said up to $20,000 towards closing costs or anything else that might be associated with a loan. That means there's the potential, if everybody took the entire $20,000 that's available, to put 2,500 new homes under $450,000 onto the market. That's still a challenge, though, as I've met with builders, including our own UAR president, Jed Nielsen, who has looked at this and said, I've asked him how can they build a $450,000 brand new house? And it's a really tough one. There's only a few places that's really possible. And the only way that it's possible is that we reduce the size of the lots. We can't do it on what we have right now. But why just new construction? Well, if we're doing new construction, we're adding inventory to the market. The more inventory we have on the market, the more places we have for those first-time buyers to move into, the more opportunities it gives us down the road with other levels of inventory. But we've got to add to the market. Simply giving a brand new home buyer $20,000 to go help with closing costs or something else on any other home, any existing home, all that's doing is just keeping the exact same products on the market, and there's just not enough right now for that to even happen. There just aren't sales out there.
Right? It doesn't make new homes available, which was the intention of that $50 million, is to help that $450,000 or less home be built, especially in a time where you guys all remember what happened after the housing crisis. And that's for about 10 years. We did not build at the rate that we grew. And that's because we were a little gun shy. And when we're unsure about mortgage interest rates, if they continue to go up, we don't want builders, in particular in Utah, where we already have a deficit of housing supply, to stop building altogether because people can't afford those homes. So this is designed to encourage builders and cities to zone and build small lot, single family homes, and also help first-time home buyers get into those homes. So very briefly, I'll tell you about how the legislation intends the program to work. Now, these are not rules because those have not been written yet. This money is going to go through the Utah Housing Corporation. That's the entity that will be dispensing this grant. And that's the entity that's in charge of writing the rules for this program. So I can only speak to what we discussed during the legislative session, which was how they intend this program to be run. And that is the $20,000 per first-time home buyer. And this is not something that you have to pay back monthly. This is something that you'll pay back when you sell the home or you refinance.
Right. And if you refinance, they're hoping that it's only a portion of it.
Yep, that's only a portion. And it's a 0% interest rate, just to be clear. The state's not making money off of any of these first-time home buyers. And what happens is once you've paid that money back, it goes right back into the first-time home buyers assistance program, and it becomes a self-sustaining $50 million. So we'll always have money available as people continue to buy these homes for the first time, move on to another property when their family grows or when they find a job opportunity. And that kind of helps with the continuation of this investment into first-time home buyers.
So this gives the buyers an opportunity, one, to have that to be able to purchase a new home. We need cities to make the effort to have that happen, though. I mean, right now, again, as I speak to builders, there's just not that many places that they can build a $450,000 brand new home without cutting down lot sizes. And so we'll be approaching cities throughout the state to talk to them about reducing lot sizes in their communities and to make this possible. If you're trying to build on a 1/4 acre lot or a 1/3 acre lot, we'll never get this price below 450. If we can get 4 units to an acre and get a 4,000 square foot lot, or 10 units to an acre, not 4, but 4,000 square foot lots instead of 10,000 square foot lots, we have the ability to really reduce the price of that house and thus build those $450,000 houses. So this is in it. Again, I think the question that I get asked is, this sure sounds like a developer bill and not a realtor bill. Not true. But yes, I mean, this is gonna help all of us.
It will
This
help
is,
development.
this is an incentivize to incentivize building at this price point, and builders have not been doing that, and because it's easier to build. I mean, if you're building a house as a builder, you build a basement. If
Yeah.
you can build a second story, you build a second story, because that's where the profit starts to set in. But if we can incentivize builders to build in that $450,000 range, to increase this, the inventory on the market, that will help everybody. It helps you as realtors be able to sell more homes.
So this money is available starting July 1st. I can't say for sure whether or not the rules will be written by then. I'm really hoping so. They're working on them as we speak. But as soon as we know what the requirements are, you will know what the requirements are. And until you hear from UAR, chances are what you've heard is not necessarily the whole truth. So you can sign up for our government affairs newsletter on our website, or even just having been subscribed to the UAR news. You'll be able to get that information. It's something that we intend to share with you literally as soon as we get it. And like Mark said, if you're looking at this program and this program alone, you could have some questions. Why are you focusing only on new construction? And our answer will always be, we aren't. The legislature has focused on everything that we just mentioned, homelessness, LIHTC. But another program that we're going to talk about that's huge, and it's a huge investment for the state of Utah, but also big business players in the state of Utah are investing in this program. It's something called the Shared Equity Revolving Home Loan Fund.
We really wanted to make it
gosh,
as hard as they possibly
Revolving Loan
could.
Fund. Okay, we got it. We got it. We got it.
On the other one, though, again, while there may be questions, I'm just gonna go, wow. I mean,
$50
you
million.
know, $50 million
Yeah, it's
for the
incredible.
state to say, look, we have a surplus. We have a big surplus right now, and there's a million places we could put this. And trust me, they had requests from
Millions of
different places saying, we want this money. And for them to say no, the most important thing for us right now, period, this legislative session, is housing.
Yep.
And like you said, we're gonna attack this from multiple angles. This is just one, but it's massive. And so if you see your legislator on this one, tell them thank you, because this was a really, really big deal.
It's awesome. Aaron, do we have any questions on Facebook about this program?
Okay.
We're so good. They're definitely
I
gonna
know,
invite us
it's
back.
awesome.
They're definitely gonna invite us back. Okay, so we'll move on quickly to that second program, and I'm gonna try it one more time. The Shared Equity Revolving Home Phone. No, you're right. Aaron's shaking her head. Phone. Shared Equity Revolving Loan Fund. There we go. Got it. Okay, so it's exactly what it sounds like. It is a shared equity program. It is a loan fund. And the legislature has put money towards this, but there's also private money that's been put
Yes.
towards this in the form of like Zion's Bank and the Rocky Mountain Homes Fund. as a
Yeah,
partner.
they were already in place.
They were
And it was directed at a different group of people.
It
Initially
was.
started at, was it just police officers?
teachers.
Teachers, excuse me, it was teachers, and then it went to first responders.
Yeah.
And they added it in. Now they've expanded this program with the help of the legislature to cover everybody.
To cover everybody. And this includes new homes, but also existing homes. And that is where the legislature has focused on existing homes and people who may not necessarily be first-time home buyers.
Mhm.
This could even be people who are looking to move up to the next size home because they've outgrown their home, but who need maybe a little bit of help getting into a larger piece of property or a larger home. So the cool thing about this, and the reason that it started for teachers initially, is because if you are making a teacher's salary in Utah, it's well below the median income. And you cannot afford the median price of a home, which is about $450,000 along the Wasatch Front. So what the Rocky Mountain Homes Fund did is they got together and they said, well, we'll be a silent partner with these families and these teachers in the purchase of their home. And so we'll assist them. And it's so individual, you guys. It's such a case-by-case basis that they talk to you about what you can afford monthly, what you can afford in terms of closing costs and a down payment. And they work with you on all of that. And they don't take into consideration things like bankruptcies.
Right.
Or any of those kinds of things. So it's really a clean slate. It's a fresh start for a lot of people, but it's also a huge opportunity to have someone work individually with them about what exactly they can afford and where and how. And then when you sell that home, any equity that you brought to the property, you get back. So even if it doesn't work out, you're not out any money.
And it is such a difference than from your normal loan.
Yeah.
You know, your normal mortgage, who is tearing your credit apart, tearing your finances apart, and have very, very specific guidelines as to what you can afford based on the bank's guidelines.
Yeah.
And the shared revolving loan fund is different in that respect, because
Mhm.
it's individual. They will look at your case and say, can Kate afford a house?
Yeah.
How much payment can she afford? Well, we're only going to do 30% debt to income ratio. Well, she's at 45. Well, but she can afford the house, and we've seen her history and what she's able to do. Yeah, I'd put money into that, and that kid gets a loan.
And it's such a cool program to get people into that home and building equity so that they can continue to participate in the housing market, because as realtors, you guys know how hard it is to get in, but also how important it is to get in so that you can start building that equity and building that wealth. Homeownership is still the #1 way that people save for retirement.
So this is a shared equity, which is right in the name of the title of of this legislation. So define shared equity. How's that going to work then? If I go to buy a house and I use this program,
Mhm.
what does the shared equity mean on that?
So you're sharing equity with Zions Bank. So they're your silent partner. They're going to help you either, and the interest rate I will mention is not the current interest rate. It's
Significantly lower.
lower. I don't know exactly for sure. It's changed a couple times,
Yeah.
but it is much lower than the current national interest rate, I think.
It was going back to where we were about a year ago,
Yeah, around
About 3.5%.
It's around 3.5%.
Yeah.
3.2 to 3.5, I
Yeah.
think is what it was.
So back to where we were before the rates started to do this.
To go crazy. Yeah, so that shared equity comes in the fact you basically have a silent partner in
Yeah.
your house. And so you're still in charge of making payments, you're still in charge of maintaining the property. It's just they're gonna help you get in. And then when you sell, they're gonna take what they put in, plus the equity that they earned on their piece of their investment. And then much like the first time home buyers assistance program, it goes back into the fund
Yeah.
so that it can then be used for other families, other people who are looking to purchase a home through the fund.
And this is really cool because as your home makes money, as it appreciates and you're in your home, they're taking advantage of the appreciation. That's where they get paid back, is their equity in this house continues to grow.
Yep.
They will never take more than their equity, than what they've put into the house, plus their portion of what they've earned on it. I mean, it's their investment. They're investing. If they invested, you bought the house for, 450,000.
Yeah.
And it's now worth 7 when you
Yeah.
go to sell it. Yeah, they're going to take their portion of that just because they're your partner.
And kind of like the first time home buyers assistance program, this is another similarity that they have. It's when you go to sell the property or you go to refinance the property that you would then split that equity. And what's also kind of cool about it is that if it doesn't work out for one family, or if somebody moves and a home becomes available, they really try to place people who are looking for a home through that homes fund into that house so that they can use that piece of property to continue with this program.
Yeah.
It's such a cool public-private partnership. And I don't know whose idea it was.
No,
It was a really good one.
but it's trusting the home buyer.
Yeah.
And really making an investment, not just in a house, but in a buyer and in people as a whole. And to me, that's the cool part. If all of a sudden things go south and you're foreclosed on, that they have to kick you out of your house.
Yeah.
You're not obligated in where they are. They're going to take what, if the house is worth less than what it was when they bought it, that's what they're taking. And you're not going to get sued for this extra that you're missing that was your part.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, it's an awesome program.
Yeah, and the rules for that program are also not completely finished yet. The application is not
Surprise!
open for that. So it's kind of this really funny limbo, like waiting period where we finish the legislative session. Bills have been officially signed into law. Some bills are still being ceremonially signed into law. And we're waiting for them to be implemented. And that can take some time because you're talking about sometimes starting programs from scratch, like the first time home buyers assistance program. And sometimes adding to existing programs and figuring out how that additional funding is going to work with the funding they already have and what the application process is going to look like. Because you're right, this program started initially for teachers, then it moved to first responders, and now we're really opening it up to so many different Utahns, and that is going to make the application process a little bit different.
It is, and it has to, because there's only
Yeah.
so much money still.
Yep.
This isn't just an endless bottomless pit of money. It's still got to be divided as it's needed. And once you've opened that up to everybody, the need increased.
It's true.
You went from teachers to first responders to everybody.
Yep.
And who really needs this? And they'll weigh that out, I mean, that's kind of the purpose of the fund.
Yeah.
How do they get them there? When's the governor signing these bills?
April 18th,
A week from today.
a week from today.
So hopefully soon, shortly thereafter, we kind of get some guidance on how these programs will work.
And as soon as we know,
You'll
you will
know.
know, because we want you to be able to use these programs and help your clients and the people in your community take advantage of all the money that the legislature has invested into the affordable housing problem in Utah just this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when we were like, and this isn't that long ago, it was like 2 years ago, we were begging for $30 million total for all of our affordable housing.
Yeah.
And now we got 50 million just for the first time home buyers. And it really just shows the commitment, I think, of the legislature and leadership in particular to affordable housing. They know it's a problem. They know that that people need some help.
Well, and what I love more than probably anything with our legislature this year is that there's a lot of different ways that they could have attacked this. Forcing things to happen. I think they recognize that that's not necessarily the legislature's place to just fix a housing market.
Yep.
That's part of capitalism in its finest.
Government's not great at everything.
Yeah, it's probably not their place. And so they didn't create zoning, they didn't force zoning, they're allowing cities to take that on their own. And we need to encourage our cities to go do that, to make sure that they've played their part in this. But they've provided the funding in multiple areas. And again, these were just two of them.
Yeah.
We'll talk later about one of those that's a little harder for most people to understand. We could do a whole podcast entirely on LIHTC.
Oh yeah.
The low income housing tax credit.
I don't know how many people would listen to that, Mark. At
Well,
least six.
maybe we could put it out to all the mayors and they'd understand, because we deal with it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And it's kind of important.
Yeah.
It'll address a whole nother section of this market. And
Yeah.
then, of course, we can talk about homelessness and the efforts that the state put in this year into homelessness and getting people out of where they are. And I think that's the state's focus. And that's why it's so much of this on multiple different programs, attacking things from various angles. There will always be homelessness. That's just part of the way things are. But if we can address this from homelessness to low income to moderate income, we eventually move up a whole section of people. And,
I think they really understand that the housing market in Utah is an ecosystem, and that you start out maybe at one level of housing, and in the next stage of your life, you move to something different. The next stage of your life, you move to something different. And if at any point you get stopped up, everybody behind you gets stopped up too.
Yeah.
And so this is them trying to kind of address, I think, the deficit that we've had, the difficulty with the pandemic and supply chains, and just the whole mess that was 2020.
Yeah.
It was
And
really.
And there's
really
still some of it out there. We'll get it, things will
Yep.
get fixed. But when you go clear back to the crash back in 2008, 2009, the nightmare periods for most of us that were around at that point,
Yep.
we just stopped building. Yeah, and it wasn't a supply chain issue. It was an employment issue.
Yeah.
We just, your smaller companies, we lost so many of your mom and pop builders and your subcontractors, and everybody they had to go get something else to do.
Yeah.
Because the housing market wasn't there. And we left everybody behind. And because of that, we've been in such a shortage for so long of housing that it's just catching up to us. And we made some huge headway in the last couple of years.
Yeah, we really have.
But we're still 30 to 40,000 units short from where we need to be. And we've still got people moving to the state. And please don't tell them to stop, or you and I aren't going to make a living. So my kids like to eat. They're spoiled.
That's crazy
But,
that way.
I know. Milk on their cereal and everything. Okay, so we got the 5, we got the 4, we got the 3, we got the 2.
It's time for our one.
It's time for the 1. Should we talk about number 1?
We're gonna talk about.
We're talking about the number 1. This is our call to action. The legislature went to bat big time for you this year. The way we support our legislature, the way we help get good people in office, not just at the state level, but also at the local level. And this year is your municipal elections. For every one of your cities, you've got council members and potentially mayors up for a re-election this year. And not that I want all of them out of office, but I'll admit, we've got some bad,
They don't all deserve
we've got
to
some
be
bad
there.
eggs out there that just, they don't want to help.
Yep.
And in that case, some of them are going to need to go. And we need to support people that will understand what we're trying to accomplish. And that
Yep.
we're trying to put people into homes. We're trying to sell homes. The density isn't a swear word. It's, in fact, it's not, we were talking earlier, it is not even a 4-letter word. It's a 7-letter word. And what was the other 7-letter word? Realtor.
Realtor.
That's the other 7-letter word. Density is not a bad thing. We need to help convince our cities and our neighbors that that's not the case. And so,
There's a place for it.
so the way you do that is participating in our PAC. And that helps get the right people into office. It helps us fight the right causes at the legislature and get the things done that we saw happen this year. That doesn't happen without RPAC. If you're not an investor in RPAC, now's your chance. Invest. Invest something at least.
Yeah.
If you're already an investor in RPAC, thank you. Sincerely, thank you. And now step it up. If you're not a major investor, get there. We need that to happen. If you're a member of the Northern Wasatch Association of Realtors and watching this podcast, next week is our luncheon, or 2 weeks, excuse me. We're 2 weeks away from our luncheon. That's the time. Come party with us, eat some lunch, and give a lot of money.
He said it.
To help this. I'm asking, I'm begging. Adam Speth, the president, I want to have him look good. So that one's for you, Adam. Make sure it happens. Come out and support. Where else can they give?
Where else can they give?
Yeah.
Your local association is going to be who you're going to want to talk to. And I will say that if you have any questions about anything that we talked about today, you can put those questions below this video on our Facebook page. You can also email info@UAR or utahrealtors.com, info@utahrealtors.com, and we can help answer some of those questions. We're available to you. We spent all of the session working on this. We know at least what people intended for the legislation to do, and we are aware of the process of the rules that are being written, and we want to make sure that we're giving you the best information possible. So if you have a question, if you're a little confused, please reach out. We're happy to answer those.
And later this year, we're going to take this on the road.
We are going to take it on.
So we'll be in a neighborhood near you.
All right.
Well, Kate, thanks.
Thank you.
This was our first shot at this, guys. So please tell everybody we did a wonderful job, and we'll come back and do it again. Yeah, only compliments.
Yeah.
Thank you for spending just a little bit of time with us, talk about legislature and these two amazing programs.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next.